What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 35 of my Total Warhammer II modded Vlad von Carstein campaign. So as we saw last time, we were able to save Nuln by having Isabella destroy a pretty massive stack belonging to the forces of Reichland. This puts us in a fairly decent position with regards to taking the rest of their stuff. Oh man, Helmgard has fallen to the Wood Elves. That's a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping to have that for our own, but oh well. We'll see how these Wood Elves feel about us after we've destroyed the Empire. They don't seem to care about the destruction of the Empire. They kind of dislike the destruction of the Golden Order, though. I guess because the Golden Order likes to destroy dwarfs, because they want to settle in mountains. Unfortunate. Yeah, it seems like they all don't like the destruction of the Golden Order. Who knew? Anyway, now we have a bit of a situation here. Balthasar Gelt has come to Wissenberg, and the thing about Balthasar Gelt is he has a really good defeat trait, and I wanted to get that defeat trait on Isabella. It's more important than getting it on Vlad. While Vlad can still benefit from it, especially on his Sylvanian units, 55 armor and all that, I feel like it's the Vargeists that benefit from it more than anybody else. And Isabella, well, bats as well, and doggos. Basically all of Isabella's army. I mean, some extra armor on the big bats would be really quite nice. I mean, we can always hope that Balthasar Gelt comes back, especially to like one of these factions as we take time, but let's not chance it. I feel like we're gonna have to not attack this, even though that was the plan at the end of last episode, but rather to attack Balthasar Gelt instead, just to get that buff. And we'll keep Carmilla in Nuln to defend it. We might end up losing Dotternbach for our because of this, but oh well. Oh well, so what we're going to do is we're going to have Vlad, I guess, reinforce Isabella. I'm pretty sure that Isabella can do this on her own just fine, but, well, I mean, otherwise, where would we send Vlad? We can send him up here, but not destroying anybody. We can certainly attack this with Isabella by herself, although the knights would be annoying to kill. I'm just thinking we could preserve a lot of the movement with Vlad, and you only get the trait, the defeat trait, I mean, on the lord that you attack with. Not the reinforcing lord, unless I've got my game mechanics mixed up, so it wouldn't really do anything for us to have Vlad attack here. Although, once again, I would like to get the armor buffs on the Sylvanian levies as well. But yeah, we could definitely move Vlad up here, and you know how many turns it would take to get to Fester Spike? About 2. And he could certainly take Fester Spike. Although it'll be a lot more difficult now that he doesn't have the Vargeists to clear out the walls, but we can still break through with the Vargolfs, and ultimately I think Vlad himself would be able to take a lot here, although the garrison here is pretty decent, plus the stack. I suppose we could move together with Dieter, though, and then we'd have the Sylvanian crossbowmen to help. Plus at least one flyer. Alrighty, let's try it with just Isabella, and then we'll see. I also want to point out that this Isabella's only got 4 movement left after attacking Balthasar Gelt, and thus that'll be a little bit of a problem, because if he didn't want to fight, then he would run away, and then Isabella might not be able to reach him, and I'd really like to guarantee her the battle. Once again, we're going to have another battle for the Queen of Darkness. We had an epic one last time, and I'm hoping that we can reproduce it with another one. Alrighty, here we go again. Now that Isabella has a pretty decent army, though it's not complete, it's certainly better than it was, she can be a little bit more brazen about attacking these very powerful stacks. Now, the enemy does have some very scary units, and I didn't do the dance with regards to our units, so Isabella took a full volley from one of the handgunners' units, and as you can see, it dropped her by about 25%, a little bit more HP. She was hurt to start the battle, but yeah, quite a bit of damage there, maybe even 30 HP. Of course, she does have the Potion of Healing and Invocations of Neheg, so she can get that completely erased, but nonetheless, the damage is certainly there. Fortunately, now that we've arrived, we are able to summon zombies right on top of the enemy handgunners to distract them. And now the 3 vampire handmaidens are actually going to peel away from Isabella. She's going to personally duel Balthasar Gelt while the vampires take care of another unit of handgunners and start to get to work on the enemy. Now, one thing I decided for this particular battle as I started it was to not use any of our powerful spells, i.e. no Pit of Shades, no Wind of Death, and no Purple Sun of Xereus, even though we obviously could immediately cast a Wind of Death like through this or something like that. And the reason for that is I wanted to see whether this army could essentially do the work without completely relying on the vampires to do everything for it. How powerful is this army itself? I mean, Gelt's army is pretty damn decent here. Lots and lots of great swords and tons of Empire Knights, which, you know, aren't fantastic. They're not they're not demigriffs or anything like that, but with 115 charge bonus and 142 armor, they've certainly still got something going, especially with the buffs that they've got. So we'll see. We'll see. Great swords are also pretty damn decent, but Balthasar Gelt, I'm pretty impressed with his fighting ability. He is using Living Metal Potion, of course, so he's getting a lot of that resistance going, but we are going for the Master of Beguilement, so while he is resistant to damage, he can't really hit that hard, which ironically I say even as Isabella takes a hit. Now, she hasn't actually been taking a lot of damage. She's still using her Potion of Healing. I popped on Death Resurgence so that it could hit our vamps while they moved in, but she's also got Bloodlust and Van Hell's Dance Macabre going on at the same time, but then minus that Plague of Rust, so her armor is down to only 50, which is pretty damn low for a lord. Looks like Balthasar Gelt is going for a cast of the Golden Hounds of Gehenna going down on the zombies here. Kind of a waste, and honestly, Oh, and he's double casting. Wow, really? He did not like that zombie unit, which is kind of funny because they could have easily just been killed by those greatswords. But anyway, the duels continue. That should have probably done a little bit of damage to his own units. Oh man, we did not luck out though. The Golden Hounds could have. They could have hit, or Gehenna's Golden Hounds, I mean, they could have hit some of the enemy units, but alas, they did not. Nonetheless, we are going to continue our little duel up here. Isabella's starting to heal up, now closer to 75% HP, while Gelt has started to drop a little bit, still at that 0 attack because of that Master Beguilement. Got to love that bound spell. And in the meantime, the vampires have been fighting, not really all that hurt, they've been doing pretty good, but it's time to get the rest of our armies in. As I said, we are not going to be using any of our offensive magic or our direct damage magic, and thus we do have to rely on our actual army to dish out the damage. It looks like Gelt once again starting to hit us, and this time we should take some damage to our Vargeists, although I'm willing to bet that once again does more damage to his own units than it does to us. Isabel's going to get a little bit of a hand from the Devils of Schwarzhofen. That's kind of necessary. I mean, it's not necessary strictly, as I feel she would have beaten Gelt in the end, but every second that he's alive is another cast that he can get off, and I don't appreciate that. Alrighty, well, the Vargeists are fighting in a nice group. The Bats are once again going to go out on the edges of the battlefield together with the Doggos, dire Doggos, I should say, and kill all these handgunners, crossbows, and anything that they can reach, like these routing Empire Knights over here. And once again, I've made note of this like 3 or 4 times, but why is it that every time that Isabella fights with the Bats, we keep getting these picturesque skies, like every single time? Is it me? Am I crazy? Because I keep getting these shots of the Bats against the sunset there. It's very lovely. Very lovely. Anyway, let us continue. Bats are doing pretty well. Looks like Balthasar Gelt, with the help of the Devils of Schwarzhofen, has started to drop quite low, about 33% remaining on him, and I think Isabella should be able to finish him off. Now, we do want to be careful with that, though. We want to hurt him, but we don't actually want to kill him. As I've mentioned earlier, I was really trying to decide whether we try to get the buff for killing him on Isabella or Vlad, but if he survives, in theory, presuming that he is not out of movement points, and I don't believe he was in March stance, I believe he was in some other stance, then he should be able to provide another Lord, which I would guess is Vlad, or I would hope would be Vlad, that precious 10 armor buff, which is really good on the vampires. Ironically, it wouldn't be so great on the Red Duke, because the Red Duke's army is currently ridiculously armored. I think his Black Knights are something that like 175 armor, and his Grave Guard are like 145. They're definitely past the point of diminishing returns for those armors, and they probably need a little bit more of other things like melee defense in particular, as well as some melee attack to make them actually more powerful. Now the battle's going fairly decently well. The battle is certainly shifted in our favor. I'd say about 66% in our way, and we can see the bats are doing a pretty good job chasing off all of these routing units. I believe the Hands Gunners, Huntsmen, Crossbowmen, they're all the range units, I mean, are about dead, and we're also going to be chasing some greatswords. Unfortunately, one of the bats did get caught by an Empire Knight unit, and I did repeatedly try to get it to disengage, but bats have a really difficult time disengaging. I'm not sure why it's the bats in particular. Maybe it's their speed that's causing this, but I've been having a difficult time just disengaging them throughout this campaign. You tell them to J out, and instead of Jing out, they just, they try to move away and then they go back in immediately. No wink, unfortunately. And yeah, just like a couple bats engaged means the entire unit will return. But oh well, it's not a big deal. You have to remember that these are still just bats. I mean, they may be high chevron, but they're an expendable unit that we really don't care that much about. We can always raise more if we end up losing them. And just because these are Isabella's bats and they're significantly powered up, they're still not a unit we're trying to super hard to preserve. Anyway, the dire doggos and the regular doggos, I guess, have been doing a pretty good job. They've been running around killing knights over here. You gotta love these sights. All the bats and all the doggos chasing knights down and all that sort of stuff. This feels very right. It's also reminiscent of various books I've read with regards to various people traveling through Slovenia and getting chased by various things, like the dire doggos again and the bats and stuff. It feels very appropriate. Anyway, the bigger battle here, I guess, that's left, other than what's going on the edges once again. You can see the enemy army is just getting ripped apart, and the enemy units are not being able to escape by virtue of our much too fast units. But the Vargeist and the Vampires all now working together, as there is no Gelt to contend with, to just kill any of the great swords and the Empire Knights that are left in the middle of this formation. Otherwise, I think this has gone pretty well. I mean, obviously, we could have sped this battle up significantly by dropping a couple of Winds of Death. I did use a couple debuffs, like the Soul Blight. I don't believe I used Occam's Mind Razor, but I did use several other types of buffs, and they certainly helped with the... this. I think you can see the regeneration right now, and that's not the hunger, that's a overcast invocation of Nehek going, I believe, or at least it was. Okay, it's gone now. But yeah, a few of our units did get beat up. We can see one of our Vargeists took some damage. I believe this was the one that started the battle with only 5 units, and it was already hurt, unless I'm mistaken. And then on top of that, it was on the edge of the battlefield. But anyway, just like that, quite quickly, the battle ends. And let's see, it took, well, not too bad. I mean, nearly 5 minutes. That's pretty good in terms of some of the battles that we've run. Nothing has yet come close to that battle with the 5 Gorst carts, where the zombies and, well, basically Gorst doing all the damage took 17 to 18 minutes. Yeah, generally speaking, once again, our battles average to about 2, possibly 3, if we're lucky, minutes, not counting sieges, of course, because they, they take longer just by virtue of having to systematically clear stuff out. But 5 minutes, I think, is pretty good. It's a nice little battle. A nice little battle, and it certainly shows that the army can still work without all that crazy magic stuff. Not that I'll be foregoing too much magic in the future. I still love watching the effects of the Pit of Shades and the Wind of Death and the Purple Sun way too much not to actually use them. Bats against a sunset. Maybe Vlad can have a painting of this commissioned and hang it in Altdorf when they take it over. Or I forgot what the name of the palace is. The Imperial Palace. I don't think it's the Imperial Palace. I might be confusing sub-franchises here. It's probably Reich something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just speed up the rest of this. We're just going to chase off as many units as we can. Minus Gelt, everything else should die, so that we're able to easily auto-resolve without taking damage to our other units. Man, the bat's wings, when it's sped up, looks so bizarre at the in the distance there. But there we go. Apparently a close victory, but I don't think we actually took that much damage. Let's, in fact, find out. Alrighty, not too bad at all. A close victory perhaps, but probably only for this one unit of fell bats that got pretty badly beat up fighting a unit of knights, and then only because I was kind of failing to withdraw it. I told it to withdraw repeatedly, and I was just like, no. It happens. It happens. Now, one of the good things, I suppose, is that Gelt survived. Hopefully he just backs off instead of straight up dying. I don't think he was in any kind of march stance or anything like that, but I guess we'll see. I swear he was in channeling stance, whatever the equivalent is. Otherwise, yeah, I once again just want to point out that the goal of that battle was to win without using any damaging spells, or direct damaging spells, I should say, and we succeeded pretty darn well, I think. Mostly, or all debuffs, no offensive magic. As we can see, we got very few kills on the vampires because of that, but the rest of our army absolutely picked up the slack and did all the damage. So this army really does work. It's not just the vampires that are doing this. I just wanted to prove that it was not just their magics that are destroying enemy armies, because clearly it does quite well. Anyway, we can take... Ooh, you know what? I want the money. Yeah, we got damage, but I still want the money. We really need cash right now as we're trying to get various lords to build stuff up. And yes, it does look like Vlad will be able to... Ooh, and a banner of swiftness. Yes, please. You, Isabella, do not have perfect vigor. Vlad, I believe, is currently carrying a banner of swiftness, and I feel like it's only fair for all of you to have one. Yes, there it is. Armor plus 10 for all units for Isabella. And then... And then 503, it's a little bit iffy. But then again, all of this is kind of trash too. This is for how many turns? It's only for 2 turns, but we'll need it in... Okay, you know, fine. Fine, we will murder the captives instead. And there we go, armor plus 10 for Vlad and Isabella. Plus now they both have banners of swiftnesses. I'm very happy with that. Now the magic reduction is also quite helpful on Isabella, but I feel like it's just not worth as much as a banner of swiftness. Granted, she is on her hell steed, but after fighting on top of a wall for a long time, she definitely could use it. Now the warlock is armor only when defending, so I feel like we keep the warlock to defensive armies, and therefore we don't really need it here. So let's give you the banner of swiftness. I'm almost tempted to transfer the Lichbone Pennant to like Vlad or something, and then just have him use it for I don't know, for like mittens or something, but we can always give it to another lord, as we just plain don't have enough banners of swiftness to go around. So what we will want to do, I guess, is to move as far as we possibly can. Can we still attack this in 2 turns? I think we can. Vlad can move quite far. It is still red, but that's because it's this turn. I really hope that he can reach it. I can't quite tell if I can see the edge of the arrow there. In fact, let's just do... Can we see the edge of the arrow? Maybe. I can very slightly see it, but maybe it's enough to reach Fester's Spike. I'd really love to clear up all of this so that we don't have to worry about these guys rebuilding armies constantly and attacking us, so that's what we're going to do. Vlad, you're going to move up here, and I know you're going to get hurt by the attrition, but it is what it is. Dieter, you're going to do the same thing up here. You're going to suffer even more attrition, although I take it your mortal levies will fortunately not suffer said attrition. And ow, yeah, that's a decent amount of attrition. You follow behind Vlad, I guess. And yes, indeed, the immortals are immune to the non-corruptive effects of the non-corruptive lands. Lovely, as expected. I just wanted to double check that. Now, we did get enough money to upgrade the Shady Township, and even though we wanted to save up money for various things, I do think that we might as well do that. We got some upgrades for Isabella's vampires, but I don't think they're super necessary right now. You are going to keep defending Nuln. It might get attacked, it might not. As long as we get walls up here, we'll be good. Otherwise, what do we gotta do this turn? Now you, Helmut Gorst, you're heading around to transfer some of your troops over to Heinrich Kemmler. In fact, you could take them right now, but we can just do that next turn. Heinrich Kemmler, you do probably want to start getting some spirit hosts in here. Awakened Battlefield is just raised that. I wanted to double check whether it would reduce our costs to actually recruit units, but doesn't appear to be the case. Not that we have one of these things there anyway. Ooh, if only we had just slightly more cash. We could build the Font of Nightmares here and start recruiting Banshees as well. I'm really tempted to temporarily cancel this. We really need that wall up in Wissenberg, though. Although once Nuln is up and all of this stuff is taken, it'll be a lot less worrying. Also, would you guys just declare peace with us? Our non-aggression pact, rather, with us? No, not yet. What about Thorek and his little expedition? No, still not. What the heck do you want, man? You love us. We're 35, moving to 64. You should love us. We've killed all of your enemies. And, oh, you're trading with Numas and Dune Kingdoms. I was planning to force Karazakarak to fight them. That's kind of annoying. So you won't like us as soon as we deal with that. You're still at war with Teotihuacan, eh? What if we say, once again, I've been trying this repeatedly, but man, I just don't want to do it. Alright, fine. Let's also double check that there's nobody around here attacking the Gashazar, but it doesn't look like it. I think we're good there. We're not going to waste any money on stealing tech right now, and I feel like, I guess we just do this then. Alright, fine, Wissenberg, you're gonna have to wait for at least a turn. There we go. There's nothing else to spend money on unless I'm mistaken, but there are still moves to make, and not with Carmilla. She needs to stay where she is. With the Red Duke, you, my friend, you know what? Stay at Dedraw Gap for at least one turn. I want to see what's going to happen with all these Skaven around here. It looks like the dwarves are going to be able to chase them down for us, but you never know. Oh, what the frickin' hell? Stuncritch the Insane. That's a frickin' rebellion army full of just giant piles of rat ogres? I mean, they still won't win, but damn. That's pretty crazy. I've never seen that. Alrighty, well, otherwise I believe we can end the turn. Emmanuel, oh, minus Emmanuel. The assassin failure. Who now doesn't appear to have any heroes nearby to assassinate after all those fails. Oh, Emmanuel. You're lucky you're aggressive, because we can... honestly, I'd rather prefer that she gets melee defense rather than attack, but I guess between elusive and... Oh, you can't even get blade shield on you. So basically just elusive. So you'll be plus 12, but still the -5. Ouch. And we don't get a lot of mileage out of either charge or weapon strength. Honestly, this is kind of a terrible trait. I feel like I'm gonna probably get another Banshee for Kemmler's army. You could just stay an assassin, I guess. Go try to find some heroes. There's one right there. Maybe you'll not fail for once. Stop disappointing me. Don't make me name you Millhouse as well. Millhouse has ironically succeeded the most out of everybody. At this point, he was failing, and then I renamed him to Millhouse, and then it stopped happening. Garrison Lord not moved. That's great, but that Garrison Lord is not supposed to move. That's kind of the point. Hero not moved. Okay, we're going to skip all the heroes not moved. We're going to skip the unassigned skill points because nobody can attack Isabella's army right now. Let's end the turn and see what the AI does next. I'm so glad we got the double Gelt buff. Very nice. Oh, I should have transferred some of your troops. I completely forgot. We'll do it after the fight. We'll do it after the fight. You're gonna damage some walls in Flensburg. Hopefully these guys don't decide, oh, you know what? Then we'll attack Flensburg instead of Nuln, regardless of the fact that it's close by. At least walls repair themselves. We don't have to pay for it.
We have much to discuss.
Damage building is, to be fair, much and more annoying. You want a non-aggression pact? We don't want one. I actually kind of want to fight you, because I believe the dwarfs will like us more if we do. And in fact, I'm probably... Oh, you know what? That's where we can send the Red Duke. We can send him north to Clan Grittus, because I'd rather leave Malice's place to Manny when he comes back up, and it's not like we're doing too much with the Red Duke up here anymore, because the dwarfs have done most of what we wanted them to do. Yeah, we've got borders locked up. More dwarfs are taking care of this. I will never see. Somebody said that the Fortress of Vorag has a special ghoul building, but we'll never reach it. That's the problem. We'll never reach it with anybody, really, even though it has a nice enough garrison, unfortunately. I was about to say, what if we raise Manny and waste all our money to get him a decent army, but honestly, it's probably not going to happen. How many turns would it take the Red Duke to actually reach here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's not going to happen. 6 turns, these guys are going to go 1, 2, and then attack it, most likely. And they've been taking everything over here. I mean, we could force them to peace out and declare war right after we do that, but that feels kind of dumb. I suppose we could luck out and they could ignore it and just attack something else. You know what? Fine. We'll send the Red Duke down here. He's going to suffer a lot of attrition, and we're just going to hope that that we get something out of this. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's honestly not that big of a deal. Oh, and is Darkhold also a special build? It is also a special building for Vampire. We'll never reach Darkhold. These guys are going to jump and take it in 1 turn. You know what? Never mind. Screw it. Screw it. Later on, we might have to fight the dwarfs anyway, in which case we will we'll deal with that, but we'll see. In the meantime, Red Duke, I guess you're going to ignore, and you're going to go up north and deal with the other Skaven. You're going to have to be careful about moving out of Deadrock Gap, though, because it can't defend itself, and I don't really want to spend all that cash on it. You know what? Do this. Go right here, or maybe right... Aha, 70% damage chance. Right there. Oh, 70% isn't a place you can't actually go. Thanks. Thanks, man. Trickery. Alright. Move here. And then ambush. Maybe they'll move. If they don't, we're just going to go north and destroy Clan Grittus. And that'll keep the dwarfs maybe a little bit happy with us. We'll see. Otherwise, we got many things to do. You, Helman Gorst, you are going to start by transferring some of your ghosts over. And in fact, we're going to transfer the zombies over as well, just so Heinrich Kemmler doesn't have to recruit them. Right there. There you go. And then, Gorst, you are going to move in march stance to Castle Tempelhof. Keep everything else as you are. Kemmler, how many spirit hosts do we want to build you? I'm going to probably say like 4. And if you're wondering why I didn't... Ooh, can we get an... Oh, we can get 6 of each of these, eh? That's pretty good. Ooh. Oh, damn. I thought for a second that I had seen a black coach here, but alas, not the case. Whereas the hex rates and the care rates seem to revive instantly, black coaches, not so much. Looks like we're going to have to go around at least 1 more time for Gorsty. Oh, well. Yeah, I'm thinking we do 5 hex rates plus the Regiment of Renown, 6 Karen rates. Ooh, is that maybe too much? The thing is, the hex rates cost so damn much upkeep. I mean, to be honest, Karen rates are also pretty damn upkeepy. That's a word. I swear. So if we do 4 hex rates for now, and then 6 hex rates, and then 4 spirit hosts. Do we even need 4 spirit hosts? To do enfeeble attack, they have recovery because they're normal, and Eternal Empire. I guess everybody has Eternal Empire, but yeah, -5 melee attack. It's not bad. -5 melee attack. Is it worth getting a bunch of these guys in? They're not going to be as... I mean, in terms of being defensive, they attack weaker and are more fragile, and but there's 180 of them. So twice as many as, well, more than twice as, well, yeah. Yeah, fine, we'll get a few of these. Alright, I still don't want to spend that much cash, though. Ooh, wait, we started building this. Speaking of spending cash, we do want to, however, upgrade Wissenberg as much as possible. Oh, but then we need to upgrade this. Man, every single turn I look and everything wants to take our money. Ooh, this might actually be a battle outside the walls. Oh, okay, yeah. There was some other stuff to move, but I think this will be a very fun time, so I think we should do this right now. Might even make a cinematic battle out of it if the enemy is actually willing to fight Vladdy. Oh, let's see if they are. Regardless of the attrition. Oh, man. The attrition is certainly hurting. Come on, let's see if you're willing. Don't be a coward. Fight Vlad. And yes, indeed, they will fight, and a valiant defeat, you say? Well, we'll certainly see about that. They have a lot of range, but we have a lot of ranged as well. They certainly have a lot more heroes than we do, but that's okay. I feel like Vlad has come through some decent battles before. Man, I'm really excited about this. A Graveguard with a huge line of ranged units for the Vamps. And let's see, missile strength 27 on the regular crossbows, but 44, 52 on these Sylvanian crossbows, twice as much. Very nice. Very nice. Anyway, I'm going to have to make a quick cut here because the previous battle was cinematic battle one as well, and this one will certainly be worthy of one as well, so we're going to do the same. Here comes the cut. Alrighty, there it is, and here we go. We have some very interesting choices to make, I think, with regards to this particular battle, as you gotta remember that Vlad has full Vanguard deployment, but then we wouldn't be able to Vanguard deploy the second army because it's gonna come in as a reinforcement. Really depends on what side they come in as to how we deploy. Anyway, let's get to it and find out. Alrighty, here we go. Just by virtue of the army compositions, I predict great things from this battle, and I can't wait for the forces to collide here. Now, the enemy is going to actually deploy, as I was talking about earlier, over on this corner of the map, or near this corner of the map, to where its reinforcements are coming in. And we've done essentially the same thing. Rather than having Vlad move up front, in which case, or Vanguard deploy rather, in which case the secondary army would have never reached us, because it's full of much slower units. We are going to deploy back here, and the two armies are going to be at essentially full strength before they meet each other in battle, which I can't wait for. Now, we've started setting up our units here. They're not quite done because the rest of the army needs to fill up the space here. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit because it's going to take some time for the units to move into position. This is going to be the first battle where we have a major ranged force available to us, which should make it pretty different from any of the other battles that we fought thus far. So we have two handgunners and like 5 or 6 crossbowmen, something along those lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, looks like 6. Looks damn nice. On top of that, we have a nice variety of units. We obviously have our 2 Vargulfs. We have 1 unit of, well, technically it's not a zombie dragon, but the Lord and a zombie dragon. We have only a couple bats and doggos. Admittedly, that is going to limit the amount that we can do in terms of chasing, but still, at least it's something. And then, other than that, we have a core force of Graveguard, as well as a number of skeleton spears and warriors. We're primarily using the skeleton spears and warriors as reserve forces, as the Graveguard would obviously be able to hold ground much longer than the weaker units, and especially since the Graveguard are each going to have a sort of a zombie force right in front of them right here. And ooh, the Sternsmen are looking fine as always. I'm really glad that this map was a not a dark map in the sense that we can actually see what's going on. But anyway, this is roughly what the formation is going to look like for us, with the handguns in the center ready to fire through the ranks of Graveguard and zombies, as well as our crossbowmen. Here we do have our Lord guarding the crossbows in case any enemy ranged units or aerial units comes and attack them, as well as the Blood Knights waiting to counter any enemy cavalry, together with the Feasters in the Dusk, the 2 fast units. A bunch of extra skeletons and all that stuff also waiting in the back just in case we might need to reinforce the crossbows. Essentially, this is the classic protect the ranged units formation here. Over on the sides, we do have our additional units of spears, once again flanks blocked from enemy cav and all that sort of stuff. And then finally we have corpse corpse carts interspersed throughout the formation to add vigor mortis to pretty much everybody. I'm really liking this. Let's get to it. I'm going to speed it up once again a little bit. The enemy has gone for a much wider formation than we have, which is, I don't know if that's good for us or bad for us. It's bad in the sense that they won't line up as much, so we will not be able to, you know, cast great magics through all of the lines, like massive blobs, and they'll be able to surround us a little bit more, which will mean less AoE stuff. But on the other hand, they probably won't be able to break through a single point in our line a little bit. This might be effective. It really depends. They do also have to remember have a lot of range units, and that'll be for our own range units to take care of. Now, if they had any significant mage capacity, I probably would have set this up a little bit differently, i.e. Gotta watch out for enemy mages when you have, like, blobs like we do here with our own range. We'd have to, you know, put them in a little bit more of a staggered formation, but since they don't, I think we'll be just fine. Otherwise, we are going to move our dragon in, or our von Carstein Lord in, just to get a breath from that dragon in right away. Gonna summon a unit of zombies just to hopefully get some enemies to attack it, and then breathe on the enemy. I really just mostly wanted the first of the breaths to go on cooldown, because otherwise, you know, it's wasted. Come on, buddy, open the battle. For some reason, he wanted to move really close here to get this one breath going, but hey, it's alright. That's a pretty decent explosion there. Did some damage to the enemy greatswords, some damage to the enemy halberdiers, and half damage to the huntsman. Not as much as I would have liked, but oh well. It looks like he got a little bit damage as well, but between an arcane conduit and an invocation of Nehek, I'm sure he'll be just fine, plus the hunger when he returns to the fight. Now it looks like the enemy army has started to move forward. The Outriders, or are these Pistoliers? No, they are Outriders, are moving in. They seem to be firing at enough of a distance to be Outriders. Seem to be moving in. Fortunately, they're going to be firing at our zombies and all that stuff, which was the plan, and our own range units are countering them. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Ooh, and it looks like the halberdiers and the crossbowmen are also going to start shooting up this general of the Empire here. Definitely, ooh, unfortunately one of the handgunners apparently has targeted one of the greats. Well, actually, maybe that's not so unfortunate. And there we go. Looks like the enemy general of the Empire wants to duel with one of our Vargulfs, and it looks like the enemy Lord is moving directly for Vlad. This is kind of interesting. Vlad, Mittens, and our von Carstein Lord and the other Vargulf are all, were all out front before the army like this, and the enemy Lords and heroes all decided to charge them and fight them. They are really going to quickly lose HP like this, especially with handgunners supporting them and able to shoot through this gap, which I think was the right call, and generally speaking, that's what you do with the whole Imperial Tactics. And plus, with the second von Carstein Lord supporting us, we do have the actual Imperial Tactics buff available to us. There we go, nice job to the handgunners. Journal of the Empire is going to fall very quickly like this. And here come the enemy. I really like these zombies right in front of Graveguard formations as well. We also have a few locations where it's just zombies, and I'm perfectly fine with the enemy just, you know, getting tar-pitted and waiting there, and here we are. I feel like this is probably the biggest battle in terms of the, not necessarily the number of troop counts, but like formations and sort of a battlefront sort of deal. Battle lines, I mean. Alrighty, let's see what's going on in the center line. It looks like all of the enemy lords, look at this, General of the Empire, another General of the Empire, and 2 Empire captains have all been destroyed. Our von Carstein Lord is still a little bit damaged, but once again, we can bring him back up. Vlad has also dropped to about half HP, fighting both a General of the Empire and an Empire captain, but once again, he can use that potion of healing, which he is doing now, to recover all that HP, plus use the hunger while fighting all the regular troops. Over on the sides, as we can see, the enemy is moving in various troops. I did talk about their formation being a little bit wider than ours, and it's not surprising at all that they will be able to get around the sides. Don't touch the sides, Butterfingers. Then we have a enemy Empire captain that did not want to charge our lords and heroes, but instead went around and I guess wanted to attack our range units. I'm not entirely sure what this guy did, but he got trapped by a unit of Graveguard with great weapons, as well as the Blood Knights. The Konigstein Stalkers are sort of here, but they weren't really responding to this. We're still keeping those units in reserve until we need them. In the meantime, the ranged units are going to start focusing enemy ranged units down, because our lords and our quick units are mostly either not numerous enough or too busy to deal with it themselves. There we go, looks like handgun. Oh, the handgunners are gonna blast this general of the Empire out of the sky. There we go, very, very nice handgunners. You ain't coming back, buddy. And here come the dire doggos and the bats on both sides as well. Oh, looks like one of the Empire captains is coming back. Yeah, at the very least, while we only have 4 of them, at least we can sort of disable 4 units of range while we keep getting to work on the enemy lines. I like the way that we have our, the center of our formation with the Vargulfs and our lords anchoring the line in the center. We can see the Sternsven and some zombies and a corpse cart moving in to support them as well, but the rest of the battle lines are sort of trapped, i.e. we've maintained our formation here, but moved up front through the center as the lords are much stronger together with the monsters. The rest of our battle lines are just going to have to hold while our range units do the damage, but going pretty well so far. I'm really enjoying it, and it's been a long battle, although there was a significant lead up with the units being, set up. Now, I decided to use the Feasters in the Dusk. Have I been calling them Feasters in the Dark again? It's possible. I've decided to use them to the same purpose as the dire doggos and the bats, which is to chase around enemy units, as they are our only other fast units other than the deadly pokes, our blood knights, but they are unfortunately a little bit busy killing this Empire captain, who they have surrounded, and I don't believe that he has enough mass to break through blood knights, or at least I wouldn't think so. So good luck there, Empire captain. You've got yourself in a real situation, buddy. Especially with the great swords, the Graveguard with great weapons helping them out. Alrighty, time to start moving in some more supporting units. The Königstein Stalkers moving in to sort of flank this enemy force here, which is going to push forward as well. And on the other side, a similar thing happening with our additional Skeleton Spearmen moving into support, as well as the other Graveguard unit. Both the Graveguard units were actually waiting back here to see where they would engage, and now they both have. Obviously, one of them against the enemy Empire Captain, the rest against these lines. We can also see one of our dire wolves chasing a unit of an Empire captain who got badly hurt fighting Vlad and co, and maybe they'll be able to bring him down. Otherwise, despite the fact that we have very small numbers of these units, i.e. the bats and the doggos, they've done a really good job at forcing the enemy ranged support units to sort of congregate in one space to try to move away from us and thus not dish out all that much damage. And let's get back to it. Did I speed it back up to normal? Yes, indeed I did. This is normal speed. It just looked a little bit slower for some reason.
Fight, men! Fight for our right to live!
You know, they always say fight for your right, fight for their right to live, and it is never more accurate than when they're fighting undead. Alrighty, let's see. It looks like the center of the enemy formation has broken, and we are able to advance to the enemy range units, but there is no actual need to do so. As we can see, the crossbows are doing a pretty good job keeping down the enemy units and helping out our quicker units at dishing out the damage. Yeah, once again, unfortunately, there are so many enemy units that are routing that we just don't have enough quick units to chase them. Ooh, and it looks like a mortar has actually moved onto the field and is now starting to batter or shell our front lines. Fortunately, there is a unit of direwolves right here, and they should be able to attack and destroy those mortars real quick. I don't know what the Switch Hunter is doing. Maybe he's taking pot shots at the Fellbats there. Hey, 69, nice. Yeah, that's not really going so well. As we can see, one of the enemy crossbowmen did get deleted by our own crossbowmen, who, as I've noted before, do quite a bit more damage with the buffs and the fact that I guess they're better crossbowmen. Maybe they have undead arrows, who knows? Maybe they use, as somebody commented, maybe they use the same sort of gear as a Graveguard do, and maybe they have whatever the arrow equivalent of White Blades is. There we go, Feasters in the Dusk doing the same sort of thing and generally do a pretty good job of ripping apart these range units, so that's going fairly well. Once again, the enemy army is now really backing off our front lines, and I think I just missed it, but there was a Wind of Death that went down right here. It didn't actually do all that much damage because we didn't have enough mana to overcast it, but at least it helped with the with forcing the enemy units off the field, especially that Vlad went over to help out on this side. Vlad went to this flank, whereas both our Vargulfs as well as the von Carstein Vampire Lord went in to help this side, which is still struggling a little bit. We can also see that a lot of our crossbowmen are starting to actually run out of ammunition. They've used a lot, but our handgunners are unfortunately not in quite the best position because of the way that these hills are formed. They were really instrumental in killing the enemy lords as we saw them get focused down. But against the enemy units, we didn't quite move up far enough. I guess I should have tried to move up a little bit closer, but the enemy army started attacking us. Or maybe I shouldn't have been so distracted trying to get first blood with the with our von Carstein Lord, with Dieter. But all good. Anyway, regardless of that, we can move our handgunners into these gaps, as you can see here, to move them a little bit more forward and try to dish out a little bit more damage. But the balance of power is past 75% now, and it looks like the enemy army is not long for it. They should be done pretty much very, very soon. Our dire doggos still ripping apart enemy range units as well as Empire captains. I believe they did kill that first Empire captain on top of that. Vlad now chasing down units as well. And honestly, at this point, it's just a matter of killing off all the enemy range units. I think the chain route is just about here as well. I also want to point out that this entire time that the enemy has had a lot of outriders, and I don't remember if they had actual pistoliers as well, but they've had a significant number of units of outriders here, and we have been having our range units rip them apart as well, which is quite nice, because otherwise they're very fast and we have too limited quick units to actually waste our time chasing them down. But there we go, just like that. It looks like the Eternal Empire's Imperial tactics are going to carry the day against the Living Empire's Imperial tactics there, although the Living Empire is not going to remain living for much longer. I do want to point out once again that we don't actually have the cav that we need in this particular army. Vlad still needs to raise some Blood Knights, or possibly some Black Knights temporarily, while he waits for Blood Knights to fill out his roster, as we don't have the buildings that we need to get their numbers up. But hey, we're getting there, especially with the range units now and the ability to retrofit our army. We are certainly getting there. I actually like the idea of having this second army to reinforce Vlad, but obviously, Isabella's going to be reinforcing Vlad, or Vlad's going to be reinforcing Isabella, vice versa. Anyway, with that, I'm just going to speed up this battle, as it is quite over. We can just get a few more shots out of our range. So you can see the ammunition there on the crossbows. They're all pretty much done. In fact, these guys are done completely. It's just the handgunners who are about half or a little bit over half. I think the other one is, yeah, this one's more closer to 2/3 ammunition remaining. But hey, once again, they deleted some of the high-value targets in those Lords and Empire Captains, or at least they helped Vlad and co delete them, so quite worthwhile. Now, we are obviously once again chasing the enemies. We're also going to try to get a Invocation of Nehek Overcast going on a couple of our Graveguard, which we did here, as they did get hurt, and we will need to continue dealing with them. If you're wondering why I'm moving all of our units close together, it's just so that the corpse carts can add a little bit of that extra regeneration to everybody, as we do actually have a limited amount of unholy lodestones, because Dieter's corpse carts were actually balefire and regular corpse carts and not unholy lodestones. That was only Vlad, so everybody needed to join up. But there we go, a close victory apparently, although I don't think we suffered that many losses. It was primarily zombies and trash units. I think a couple of the Graveguard units got hurt, but I really don't think it was a close victory, although perhaps as somebody enlightened me, or several people enlightened me in the Noctilus campaign, it is the fact that we lost a lot of ammunition that probably contributes to the to this counting as a close victory. Although once again, I just gotta point out that even if we had lost all our ammunition, heck, if we didn't have any of our range units, Vlad would have slowly been able to kill the entire enemy army together with the Vargulfs and the Graveguard in a Death Star formation. We just did not do that this time, so I don't know, close victory, I don't know. You underestimate Vlad at your own peril, plus, I guess, his minions. Anyway, let's see the damage, and let's see what the enemy has left for us to auto-resolve next turn. Ooh, that was pretty damn fun. I mean, that battle was basically everything I wanted out of the out of Vlad's army. Essentially, it was essentially an Imperial army versus an Imperial army. Look at the damage dished out by our crossbows. 18k on one of them. Let's see, 24k on another. 14, 11, nearly 15, nearly 50. and 13, very, very nice, and considerably more so than the enemy ranged units were able to dish out. So well done to the Sylvanians. The handgunners didn't do as much compared to, I mean, they still did a respectable amount of nearly 12k damage each, but I do gotta point out that they did not run out of ammo or come close to it, whereas all the crossbows were almost out. Both of the handgunner units still had like 2/3 ammo or something like that at the end, and it was partly my fault due to their positioning. They were fine at first, but then once the armies separated, it was no longer the case. That's okay. It's just yeah, there was too many units unfortunately to control at the same time, and while Vlad's main force was sort of standing still, there was a lot of background controlling with regards to the doggos and the fellbats, and then the Vargeist, the stuff fighting in the middle, like Vlad and Dieter himself, who got respectable amounts of kills as well. 76k damage versus only 9k damage on Vlad, but to be fair, Vlad doesn't have a Dragon's Breath to use, and it wasn't like he was spamming Wind of Death or anything like that, but yeah, very nice. 19k damage on the Deadly Pokes, and each of the Vargeists did well as well, and they did act as line anchors. Anyway, oh wow, that's a very limited amount of money, and we're going to actually heal the captives then, or heal the captives, very much the opposite of that. Dominate the captives or eat them or whatever it is you guys do. Hey, we got another Lichbone Pennant. That's always nice to keep. Now, that army... Wait, is one of the armies dead? Oh, I think one of the armies is dead. Can you hit Fester Spike from here, and you can get reinforcements? Now, if we auto-resolve, will anybody die? Nobody will die. Perfect. Alrighty, well, that works quite well for me. Alright, we're gonna occupy the place. I mean, I guess we don't have to occupy the place, but we will just, you know... by virtue of having to... Oh, and that's the end of Wissenland. Perfect. Perfect. Alrighty. Yeah, I just don't want them coming back or somebody else to come back here. Now it'll be a simple matter of having Vlad together with Dieter, or maybe even by himself. I don't know whether we actually need Dieter to do this, to move out through this. And then I guess we could send Dieter back to Fort Saul, but either way, we do still have to trade troops, which unfortunately we can't do right now. So close, though. So very close. Maybe Vlad could move out of the place and trade troops. I'll see between the episodes if that's possible, and whether we can retrofit the army or not, as we do need to get some more ranged units in his army. These guys are all going. Unfortunately, that'll make the army a little bit weaker at chasing off enemy units, so that should at least partially diminish its strength, but hey, it is what it is. Otherwise, I am going to have to call this episode here. I have no idea how long this episode is, but it had two very nice battles, and I have generally no idea how long episodes go, because, you know, I can't predict how long a battle will take to comment over. So whatever the time is now, I'm going to call it here. Next time, we keep moving through the mountains with Vlad and possibly Dieter as well. Isabella's going to turn right around and attack the forces at Grunberg, which I do believe she should be able to destroy, especially if Carmilla decides to help her. Looks like, what do we have here?
Not likely.
I was hoping for Karl, or perhaps, well, not Gelt. Gelt is still in his own faction. But at the very least, Karl. And then, I guess, I feel like the Grand Theogenist also gives us a good buff, although I don't remember what it is anymore. But anyway, we'll see. We'll keep destroying Reichland forces next turn with Isabella, and as I said, moving through this. And not entirely sure what we're going to do back here, as we will try to take out the Skaven with the Red Duke and then move up north. Unfortunately, we were too slow to grab all this, as the dwarves are just doing a great job of obliterating the Skaven and growing their own empire. They still do like us. Ooh, deteriorating now. Oh... no, our fine metalwork didn't disappear. Why is it dropping so much now? Oh, okay, so there's something weird about this. So basically, they don't really care about you destroying a faction until you actually destroy the faction. Like, before it wasn't going negative. Oh, damn it. Before it wasn't going negative with regards to Wissenland. And then as soon as the faction was gone, it suddenly went very, very negative. So that might mean we should try to keep the main empire alive? I'm not sure. Yeah, we're really going to need to shore up our borders before the dwarves get really unhappy with us taking over this. I'm hoping that we can manage to get to chaos before we do, but, you know, after we take this and this, we'll have so much balance of power, and we'll have damaged our rep with the dwarfs pretty darn significantly. At the very least, I'm hoping that we can ally with these dwarfs as well, so that they'll have to choose. And on top of that, I don't believe Ironbrow's expedition actually gives a damn about us killing the Empire. So what might, and hopefully might eventually happen, is if these dwarfs declare war on us, maybe we can force them into a battle wherein where the dwarfs fight each other, on top of obviously fighting us, if it ever happens. Certainly something to see, but many episodes from now, so stay tuned, I guess, for that as well. Don't forget to leave a like and comment for your friendly neighborhood heretic. Whatever I usually say about likes and comments. Oh, was this a 5th episode? I no longer remember the episode number. Yeah, this was 35. Did I say this stuff? I assume I said this stuff. Anyway, all glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.